Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Teresa Conroy-Roth, and you are watching the latest episode of Lightning Leadership. Today joins me my good friend, Jeff Tunn, the man, the myth, the legend, my mentor. He is I just adore him, and I think he knows that. Not only have you been a client, but you've been a friend and a resource for me throughout my whole career, the last 19 years, and I can't thank you enough.
You are too kind. I am honored to be back on your show again, Teresa. I count you all those things you just named about me. I call you that too. My mentor, my friend, my business colleague. So absolutely, the feelings are mutual.
Yay, yay. So one of the things that you did not that long ago was you wrote a book, and you wrote a book called Amplify Your Value, Leading IT with Strategic Vision. Copy of the book here. It's now available on Amazon. If anybody's interested, we're not necessarily selling the book, but I loved the idea when you first put this out there of just the culmination of your experiences. Tell us about why you wrote the book.
Oh, wow. It goes back to a lunch meeting I was having with a group of CIOs. You know the group here in Indianapolis. And this was in early days of cloud, right? And so I asked the question of the group, who has at least one workload in the cloud? And hands go up all around the room. And I followed that up with, who has a cloud strategy?
Ooh.
Crickets, no hands, no sound. And it was like, so why are we doing this? Why are we going to the cloud? We got to have a strategy of what we're trying to achieve with information technology. And so I saw it as a way to help IT leaders get a seat at the table, that proverbial mythical seat at the table, by leading with something other than being the order taker. You have to have a strategy. You have to be able to stand in the future and imagine a reality different than your current reality, and then connect the dots on a journey to get there. And so that's why I put the book out.
Very good. Now, you had used just a ton of just subject matter experts and people that were doing it well from a strategy standpoint. Didn't necessarily see a lot of people that weren't doing it well. But tell me how you went through that selection process.
Well, I wanted it to be more of a positive journey than telling stories about where failures happened.
Yeah.
Right? We hear a lot of those in the IT space about the project that never ends or whatever. So I wanted to talk about stories and examples of first of all, how do you create a strategy? What are the steps that you take to even define what your strategy is? And then how do you communicate it, not only with your team, but with the other people within the various business units of your organization, with your executive team, with your board? And then once you've got it all communicated, how do you execute on it? Where do you start?
Yeah.
And so looking at each one of those pieces, I just wanted to pull out stories of the CIOs that I interacted with that were successful at doing that.
Awesome. You lead me to my very next question, which is marketing and branding yourself within an organization as a leader.
Yes.
How do you do that, right? You're influencing, you're trying to sway them one way or another, right? Tell us about your approaches, and because I know in my own career, that's been one of those things. I think early on in my career, I didn't know, and then I watched a dear friend of mine, Dr. Linda Bush, socialize. She called it socialize ideas within an organization, and she did it better than anyone I knew. And I watched and I learned, but so huge. Any advice?
Well, as an IT leader, it's not going to happen in the data center. You got to get outside the data center, right? You got to be out doing things with the business leaders, and not always. It's not always about IT. I know I hate saying that because it is rarely is. It's about having those conversations and being there and seeing some of the challenges that maybe they're experiencing, and then being able to say, hey, I've got an idea. of how we can help. But this whole concept of marketing IT, you have to, because IT is typically behind the scenes, right? We're a support department, and hopefully we're behind the scenes, but you want to be out there talking and telling the story about what it is that you are doing, what it is that you are accomplishing for the business in business terms. I think that's the key. You can't talk necessarily about, hey, we have 5 nines of uptime. No one cares. What they care about is that their systems were there when they needed them. And that's what you have to talk about.
Yeah. You know, it was interesting. I think you were the first person, I think, that I've ever heard any CIO ever say, if I'm in the CEO's office and I'm talking about technology, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And I got it. And that was right when we first moved here. And I was like, it's about the business. It's not about IT. It's about solving problems, and technology is literally just a tool to help solve that problem.
A very important tool. And every business that I can imagine needs technology at some level. But the problems you're trying to solve go well beyond a technology solution. And the reasons for doing it are well beyond implementing a new technology. It's why are you doing it? Back to that story about cloud. Why are you going to the cloud? Why? There's got to be a reason.
Yeah. Well, in some cases it's efficiencies. In some cases it's cost avoidance, right? Yeah. You're constantly supportability. I mean, that would be another one, right? Yeah. Those are all great ideas. And if you can sell them, or if you can show the dollars saved, right? Yeah. Whether or not it be licensing fees, one of my favorite topics, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's and audits. Those are real. And so I think it's that dance.
Well, and I think it's important, because I know your audience isn't all just IT people. Mm-hmm. You have a far-reaching network. And I think a lot of what we're talking about right now, a lot of what I talk about in the book, doesn't matter if you're in IT, HR, or accounting, or whatever. I think a lot of those principles apply.
Good deal. Good deal. So as you go back to marketing yourself within an organization, you're obviously listening. I heard listening, and then looking for just some low-hanging fruit, some problems that you can solve for a quick win.
Yes, and telling stories of successes, and talking about the members on your team, and lifting them up to the other leaders so that they know who they are and what they do for your organization. I think that's all part of marketing IT.
That's great. That's great. Well, Jeff, thank you so much. I love having you on. I loved your books. I loved your blog. Just so many great ideas over the years and through the channel. So thank you again. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
If subscribes, also looking for new comments, new ideas for future Lightning Leadership Talks. Thank you again, my dear friend Jeff Tunn, and everybody else. Have a great rest of the day. Yeah, you did it.
Awesome.